The focus of today's lesson is to review multiplying whole numbers by powers of 10 and the order of operations. In order to write numbers with a large amount of zeros behind them quickly, mathematicians and scientists use exponents. To multiply a whole number by a power of 10, add on zeros at the end of the whole number. To multiply a whole number by 10, put 1 zero at the end of the number. For example, 12 times 10 equals 120, or 12 times 10 to the first power. To multiply a whole number by 100, put 2 zeros at the end of the number. For example, 12 times 100 equals 1200, or 12 times 10 to the second power. To multiply a whole number by 1000, put 3 zeros at the end of the number. For example, 12 times 1000 equals 12,000, or 12 times 10 to the third power. When we look at this chart, we can see the 4 different forms that the number can take. Their standard form, word form, exponent form, and factor form. In standard form, 100 is just 1, 2 zeros. In word form, that would be 10 to the second power. In exponent form, those 2 zeros are represented by 2 as the exponent, 10 is the base number. And in factor form, we just expand it out, 10 times 10. 10,000 is 10 to the fourth power. 10 is the base number, 4 is the exponent in exponent form. And in expanded form, for factor, it would be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. And you can see that the pattern continues. Write each number as a whole number multiplied by a power of 10. So 700 is the same thing as 7 times 10 to the second power. 540 is the same as 54 times 10 to the first power. 3,750,000 is the same as 375 times 10 to the fourth power. What number goes in the blank? So we're just trying to figure out what number would continue the pattern. 48 times 10 to the first power equals 480. 48 times 10 to the second power equals 4,800. And 48 times 10 to the third power would equal 48,000 with 3 zeros. During the month of January, Mrs. Williams bought 100 cups of coffee for $6 each. How much did she spend? Well, I know that 100 groups of $6 would be $600, 100 times 6. How is the 5 in 5,947 related to the 5 in 1,503? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is determine the value of the 5 in each place. I know that the value of a 5 in the thousands place is 5,000. I know that the value of a 5 in the hundreds place is 500. So this is really 5,000 versus 500. That means that the 5 in 5,947 is 10 times greater than the 5 in 1,503 because the thousands place is 10 times larger than the hundreds place. Look at the digit 2 in the number below. What number has a value 100 times greater? So once again, the very first thing I'm going to do is identify the place. It's the 2's in the 10's place, and I know that the value of a 2 in the 10's place is 20. So 20 times 100 equals 2,000. Look at the digit 5 in the number below. What number has a value 100 times greater? So once again, the first thing I'm going to do is identify the place and the value. The 5 is in the hundreds place, so it has a value of 500. 500 times 100 equals 50,000. Now we're going to look at the order of operations. When we look at the pyramid for the order of operations, we use the acronym GEMDUS to help us remember the order that operations go in. Giants eat massive donuts as snacks. At the very top of the pyramid, we will see our grouping symbols. You will complete operations inside grouping symbols first, working from the inside out. That means parentheses will always be first, parentheses, brackets, and then braces. Next is exponents that you don't have to worry about until 6th grade. And then we get to division and multiplication. So these operations are equal, but they do come before addition and subtraction. So if you have division and multiplication both in the problem, you would work them from left to right, whichever one comes first. And on the very bottom of our order of operations pyramid is addition and subtraction. These are equal operations. You would work them left to right, whichever comes first, but they are the final steps in your order of operations. What operation should I do first? 48 minus 9 times 5. Well, we know that multiplication trumps subtraction, so multiplication is the first operation I would do first. And if I had to solve this problem, I would multiply first. 9 times 5 equals 45. So this would be 48 minus 45 equals 3. What operation should I do first? So when I look at this problem, I see 59 minus 17 in parentheses divided by 6. Well, I know that I do whatever operation comes in parentheses first. So subtraction is the operation I would do first. And then I have to solve. 59 minus 17 is 42. 42 divided by 6 equals 7. What operation should I do first? So in this particular problem, I have division and multiplication. And I know from my order of operations that division and multiplication are equal. So I'm really just going to work this from left to right, whichever one comes first, and that would be division. And I would solve this problem by dividing 42 divided by 7 times 2. 42 divided by 7 is 6. 6 times 2 equals 12. If I didn't follow the correct order of operations, I might get an answer that's not correct. What operation should I do first? So even though I see multiple operations in this problem and that can be daunting, I know that the very first thing I always do is my grouping symbols, and the very first one is parentheses. And if I look inside my parentheses, I see multiplication. So the operation I would do first is multiplication. And you are done with today's lesson. You are going to complete your day 11 review quizzes in Math Google Classroom.